conversation about it being a collective consciousness where info is kind of spread faster. Kind of like the Industrial Revolution, where a small problem, or a smaller problem turned into a bigger problem being solved, like with farmers and everything like that. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? We also talked about how we're kind of in a speed up period right now, and everybody's just kind of trying to figure out how can we get to the next thing, and how can we learn something really fast, how can we keep moving faster, and everything's so fast. So we might also fall into a slowdown period, like as we try to find like some kind of balance between that and become more of a circular economy. Is there anything anybody else wanted to talk about?
We talked about NVIDIA stock prices and that we're all screwed. No, we explored similar ideas that it's possible that the disease actually could be the solution, that if you had a good enough climate model through quantum computing and AI, that might actually be the only way to solve some of the climate issues. Because we've been warned for 30 years about the climate, and, well, no one's really done anything. Well, they kind of have, but there was a lot of interesting ideas about, that he pointed out that even if we came up with the right model, that's not necessarily going to lead to legislation. And, do we do carbon tax? And does it even matter what we do in the US? Because, in other countries that are a lot more populous, they're still largely unregulated from an environmental point of view. So it doesn't matter. I think we all agree that it matters, but the solution's yet unclear. So we also wondered about the actual impact right now overall of AI compared to other industries. Even though it uses a lot more energy than other industries, how big is it really at the moment, from that standpoint? And we know that from a cloud standpoint, it's big. I think a quarter of all Ireland's power goes to AWS cloud centers, actually, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, it was a good discussion about it. I mean, what were I think you guys had some thoughts about it.
Well, I suppose that what I told to the group here was just that it's only the consequence of corporations making a problem for themselves, where if they are choosing to replace a hardworking artist who does not emit any carbon footprint by using charcoal on their drawing board with a computer which does a much more lackluster job, but likewise makes a negative environmental impact, then so be it. And if the cenotaph is going to be written for humanity, if we're going to lead ourselves down this road, let it be one that says it was a species who thought that telling a computer to do something was more important than telling an artist to do it.
We all use cenotaph in a sentence today. Thank you.
Lauren?
Yeah, our group touched on a lot of topics similarly to Fatima's group about the environmental impact of AI, but also learning how to use our voices to speak up about these things. Because obviously, yeah, it's here to stay, but we get to dictate how that's used in the future, and like what companies are actually doing, what our government is actually doing to be able to regulate these things. So even if this problem does feel kind of hopeless and insurmountable, but we all have the ability within our sphere of influence to do something about it, to help everybody use their voices and reach out to their government, and promote better regulations, better systems with which to run this thing, because that can only lead to more positive change in the future, especially for future generations who are being even more directly impacted by this than we are right now. So I think it is really important to not just think that, you know, you have to just accept that it's here and do nothing, but we actually have to really work together to be able to solve these issues. I really love the ideas that were stated about the AI, using it to solve itself, basically. That's really funny. We also talked about just like the fact that capitalism is starting to just eat itself and only focus on the end product so much that the world is being super negatively impacted from that. To see it, how it only focuses on end product and profit, and how it ends itself. So we also have to get companies to better regulate themselves as well, and to start to think more, you know, more thoughtfully about what the impact of what they're using is doing to the world and the environment. And again, that's something that only we can use our voices to kind of like speak out against, because otherwise, if it goes unchecked, again, like you said over there, we're doomed if that happens. But we're not doomed, because if we all are working to that same goal, then I think that, you know, we will be able to find a better solution going forward. We talked about a lot of other stuff. Did I miss anything? Anybody want to give the mic? Take it.
Be cringe, be free. Just
Oh,
make
yeah.
just make stuff. Like, creativity is now. AI can just make like an amalgamation, an average of creative stuff. So now's the time to just try making new stuff, because AI can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. AI cannot create the fresh. It only, I think you said it can only look back to what it already sees. It can't go forward to make new, fresh ideas. Only artists can do that. So it can't replace us in our minds, because it has no context with which it's creating. Only we can do that. So.
Thank you, Lauren. And I would like to thank all the panelists too. I know we've already run over time, so I'm just going to cancel that last prompt, but it was a really good conversation. However, I do want to get one last sentence from all the speakers about this. Like it was mentioned, that, you know, it is a global competition. This is not only an American thing, and I think it's definitely great to look outside of just the US to see the global competition of AI as well too, and how it impacts everybody. So for our guest panelist speakers, can we get, like, you know, one sentence or line for you about what you think we should do to prepare artists for this?
I think I was struck by one comment earlier on, which a lot of artists may feel. Do we also have to think about the laws and the regulations? I really just want to get in my darkroom, make a photograph, really draw, create. You do that now, right? You do it with licensing. You do it with, you know, your producers. That's all I think about all day long, is how to protect you. Legally, I have to read all those contracts. So, you know, you don't have to go deep into it, but I think it is good to have a general awareness of user rights. Even kind of the standard packages that are available now can kind of help you prepare for how to have conversations and protect your work moving forward.
And I would just say, prepare to not have a job. So it's your LLC, your bank account. Just like my gentleman lady right here, who's done a lot of jobs in this space, but then she ended up starting her own animation company as well. AI, guys, we don't know exactly how many jobs or all it's going to take away, but the one thing I love what you said is the creativity will never go away. So the thing I've been sharing a lot today is all about storytelling, and how each one of us have a great story to tell, and how this will now democratize the whole industry. I heard somebody yesterday told me in 2 years, which I think will be shorter, 2 people will be able to create a whole feature film. So all of that still doesn't matter, because again, there's going to be a whole lot of new IP out here, a lot of product. But again, like I see out here now, when I see all the people who do movies or stuff, their movies are still in these people's closets. You can create stuff, but if you don't have distribution, you can't make money. If you don't have sponsors, you can't make money. So I would say prepare to understand who you are, who your market is, who you're trying to get. Because if you're going to get money in this industry, if you want to be in here, guys, you're going to have to convince Coca-Cola that you can get kids or adults 25 to 34. They need to know what your demographic is. So you need to know what your strength is, who your stories resonate with. So all I would say again, guys, is prepare to not have a job.
So
I'll spin off of that. I think that jobs are going to change, but the thing is, think about jobs as tasks. So really, you're going to continue to do a lot of different tasks. You might have a producer job, but the task of what producing is, or what being an artist is going to change. So I don't know if you're not going to have a job, but again, the reason why I started the Media Entrepreneurship Program at Georgia State is because I saw so many people thinking they were going to make a movie and then everybody was going to come to them and give them a bunch of money. And that's not going to happen, okay? So, and that's the same with all of this, but to Asante's point about storytelling, what do we have? I mean, intelligence is kind of, that's, we have our creativity and our humanness, but intelligence is clearly better in the machine. So what do we have? We have all of our flaws and all of our stories and all of the crazy things that have happened to us. We have bodies that, we're embodied in the world. AI doesn't have a world model yet. So we have like all the stuff that makes you like really weird and interesting and different and even broken is actually what makes you the most interesting. And lots of other things, but
Yeah, to go off what you said, I think without, all the tools we see, they're tools of execution, and they're tools of, here's how you make this thing happen. But they don't answer the question of intention or why. And that's all that matters. So when you go on LinkedIn and, your buddy got high and strung together a bunch of stuff on Luma Labs or Sora or whatever, it looks like a bunch of stock footage strung together. Because without intention and meaning, there's nothing. And I was talking to my guys about this the other day, and then, because I have some developers, and they're like, well, we should train a model on this or this. And I'm like, no, everyone's going to do that. Let's train a model. Let's start to gather data on why you would do something. What's the point of it? Why would you do a medium close-up? What's the emotion behind it? And everyone in this room has far more of a topic, some topic called agency. It's easy to feel like, a raft on the ocean is being blown about, but it turns out that AI is trained on us. It is us. Your data is everything. And a couple of years ago, when they trained Microsoft trained that bot on the internet, and within 10 minutes it became racist. I'm like, why is it racist? I'm like, because you trained it on racist people. And so it is us. It's trained on us. So you can control your data, and you can start to make your own tools with your intention, because that's the whole point of it. You do art, you have an intention, an idea, you're trying to communicate of what it's like to be you at this time and place in history. And these tools, I think, can help execute, but the why sits inside of our souls. And so many products now, we can watch them. I was telling my wife the other day about this movie I worked on that it won an Oscar, and I go, I think it sucks. And she goes, why? I go, it had zero soul to it. It felt like it came off the Oscar factory line. And that's what's going to separate. When you see articles now on Medium or Substack that are obviously written by AI versus a person, there's something about the soul that comes through that's hard to vectorize. It's really hard to vectorize soul. And trust me, I'm trying. And that's the thing to remember is the why drives everything. We all work for that director called why. And these are just tools to do that. So just remember that. Don't worry about the execution so much. Worry about why it's happening.
Yeah, like I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this, and I talked to the group about this too. But yeah, AI really cannot replicate what an artist has, because we are all the combination of all the things that we experience in this universe, and what we choose to channel out into actual art has so much weight and intention and so much of ourselves in it that you can't replace that with AI, because that's a human mind, that's a human experience. That is something that's so intrinsically unique to each and every one of us. And so what I've been encouraging artists to do lately is just really fully embrace the cringe and embrace everything that makes you yourself, even if you don't think that it's good enough or that you think it's like flawed. Because if you think about everything that has defined culture, it has been, it's like Star Wars and like Avengers, like the comic book artists, and like there's so many ideas in there that seem like they're a little bit crazy. But it's that craziness that everybody's latched onto because it was done with such intention that people resonate with that, people connect with it. There was a quote that I saw on Twitter, I believe, that said, AI made me realize that human art has a soul because AI showed me what art without a soul looks like. And I definitely think that that's 100% true, that our art has a soul, so we have to keep making it no matter what. So I think that the future is our own ideas, our own IPs, our own things that we have brought up from the ground. Because I believe the artist Tim Fielder, I have a podcast on my show, we interviewed him, and he said that nobody's gonna care about the thing that you never made. So you need to make the things that are in your heart, because you could also just be dead and it would never see the light of day. So make the things that are important to you, put that out into the world, let it resonate with people, and let people come to that and support it. That's the only way we're going to be able to go forward. You can't trust the company. Companies will crumble tomorrow, but your art is always going to be here. So make your art.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot to think about too, and I really like Lauren's take on it. Where art is created by people for people. So even if it's you're using AI to generate it, in the end it's still just a tool. And then as Chris and many other people have also echoed, it's like the intention behind it. And so like when it first came out, I remember back was it like 2020s when you started hearing about all these AI tools coming out. You hear about all these stories like, oh, in sci-fi, the AI's gonna take over and all that type of stuff. And maybe into some respect. And I always harken back to all discussions in the past, because for me, I love reading about history and stuff, and you see like new technology coming out back then, like, oh, the camera came out, so now you don't need people who can paint anymore, people who can draw anymore. Then suddenly later on, now you have people who can, put all that together to create like moving arts and stuff. And then they're like, well, we don't need performance artists anymore, we don't need people who can dance, we don't need people who do that. Then Ginger and I saw a film, that talked about Jurassic Park, how originally the dinosaurs were going to be animatronic and have someone who's going to do stop motion for it. But just at that point, Steven Spielberg moved on to ILM, where they were starting to just use computer-generated graphics to develop those dinosaurs. But somehow, even when he did that, the dinosaurs still felt real. And part of it is because they had the original people who did stop motion also help out with the 3D portion. So you have people who understood, how real-life motion works, use his expertise alongside with the tools to create a performance that felt very convincing as well. So yes, technology will supplant some of our work as well, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be gone. There's other ways you can take that control back and recontextualize it for the current era. Another thing I was going to say is we're starting to see a lot of people move away from those big companies because to a more personal space with all these TikTok and social media spaces, and there's a lot of folks who could use their own content, their own way of storytelling, their own personal experiences to reach out to even larger audiences too. And when you're using these technology, like AI, for example, where you have larger output, you yourself could become that production studio if you're smart, if you could use a little bit more of ingenuity and you study, your target market, as some of the other presenters have also mentioned. And you can just find a way where you can resonate with who your audience is and insert yourself and make yourself relevant to what it is, and you'll always have businesses if you can provide that voice. But yeah.
Thank you, everybody. So, it was a really great panel. Thank you for taking over. There's some snacks and drinks still right across the exhibition hall if you want that. And the screening starts at around 2. So sorry for going over time, but thank you to everybody for being so great. Panelists, to the panelists, if I have a moment, can we get a picture of you in front of the stage? Right here, step and repeat pictures, please. If anybody want our cool ASIFA t-shirts to buy, they're available online. Not these ones, but our last year design. In the world. Panelists, please come here for pictures. My panelists, can we have photos? Panelists, picture. Lauren, can we have you? Lauren!
What's him? Well, he'll be on the screen. We're trying to talk to him.
Lauren Brown, can we have your picture in front of the stage, please? Elizabeth, can we have the picture?
I think it's fine. I think it's a very quick setup because I already set up. The main thing is just that I'm somewhere free. Okay.
Sorry, I'm Anita.
Yeah, that's this is my friend.
Yeah, I think I recognized her from some of your photos for the presentation you did like a year ago.
Yes, this is cool.
By pushing your hand,
What is your name again?
Nahid.
Nahid.
Yeah, so like not and heat.
N-A-H.
H-I-E.
Nice to meet you.
I'm not going to say halfway, so inspirational being I've been assigned guard duty. Are you here to grab the speaker? Yes. It's okay. There's one in the back corner as well. But you probably set it up, so you probably already know that.
You're good.
I'm just on guard. Oh, I'm on guard duty. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I had someone clicking how many people were in the room.
I had to write it down on a note card. I had to write it down on a note card for another example.
Yeah, I don't know where he put the clicker.
Oh no! Got time and I'm full of hate, but what you don't get a meaning of. How to get to that master. See, blood and bones are easier. That son of a bitch left both of me. I'm going to heaven, and I won't come back. One of these just as the pearly gates of crimson. Yeah. you just watching it?
Yeah, I'm just watching it. And
What good part?
reciting a fucking monologue to myself that I'm trying to memorize.
I gotta stop this live stream.
Oh.
I hope that you need while I can stay in the room.
Oh, live stream is on the whole time. Well, shoot. Did everyone hear
It's
me
like-
singing in an empty room?
It